watching Your Money Matters here at NDTV Profit. I am Mahima Vajrajani. Now today we are going to take up two very interesting topics. The first one is how movies teach you a lesson in terms of where financial aspects are concerned. Movies are more than just entertainment. They make us laugh, cry, even dream big, and sometimes even teach us the smartest lessons about money. From iconic dialogues to unforgettable stories and the silver screen that has hidden gems of financial wisdom waiting to be discovered. Now in this show, we'll decode popular films and see how real life can actually guide our real life financial journey. And to discuss exactly this, we're joined by Anant Ladda, who's the founder of Invest Aaj for Kal, joining us now. Anant, hi. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Just want to start off this conversation by asking you as to what are some common financial lessons that movies so far have taught us as investors, and probably people would not have picked up them very well, but you'll be the right person to tell them as to what are these lessons?
Hi, firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show. Always pleasure discussing important financial topics with you guys. I think I'll give you some examples of movies which I loved and the financial principles which we can learn from the same movies. For example, there's a movie known as Bagma. That movie till now we have watched it from a emotional point of view, but I would suggest now you should watch that movie from retirement planning point of view. How important it is for each and every working professional to have a proper financial plan and to ensure that their retirement is taken care of is perfectly depicted by that movie. The 2008 crisis is one of the biggest crises which we have seen in history of the world, and there's a movie called as The Big Short. That movie teaches us how the complete crash happened in the market, how there was a person who actually predicted the crash and he was on the right side of the market still, just because people who were investing via that manager were not patient. He had to face a lot of trouble managing his positions, and how the complete crash happened. So it's a beautiful movie which will explain you the complete scenario and how big was it and how bad it was. Another hidden gem which is available on YouTube absolutely free of cost is Gafla. It comes from Harshad Mehta Times and shows you the exact depiction of how Harshad Mehta was, how he dealt. I know we have seen many movies and maybe many web series around Harshad Mehta, but that is one of the most raw movies you will see. It was made long back, so that is why I still love it, and it'll teach you how banking system was, what were the loopholes of the banking system, how there were a lot of people who were misusing those loopholes, and how the system evolved eventually. So it will teach you a lot of stuff.
Interesting. In fact, I also wanted to ask you that how accurately do you think movies depict that real life scenario and help you understand as to what financial challenges are and how, that overall impacts your decision making as well?
See, I think movie dramatizes our real life in a big way. So we cannot directly take inspiration from movies, but yes, we can take lessons from movies, because at times we see there's a flashy hero who's spending XYZ amount and impressing a heroine and finally winning everyone's heart, but that is practically not possible in real life. So we cannot blindly follow what is happening in movie. We usually go out, watch a movie to move around from the real life and real life problems which we have. But at the same time, there are some movies like there's a very interesting movie called Confessions of a Shopaholic. It teaches us how debt trap is, how you can be a part of that debt trap if you don't have control over your habits, if you have impulsive buying, what bad can happen with you, and how you can completely your financial life can be ruined because of the credit card cycle. So we can take some inspiration, we can take some learnings from movies, but we cannot completely follow the movies in our real life.
That brings me to the next question, because do you think that this kind of depiction or movies or documentaries that we see can completely change our behavior towards money? Because from what I understand is books have definitely done that. For me, I think Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel has changed the way I think about money, right? But do you think that impact, in the same manner and format movies can also make?
I think yes, if you are choosing the right movies. For example, there is another movie which is one of my all-time favorites, Guru. it teaches us the real life story of Sri Dhirubhai Ambani ji and how he started from nothing, what were the struggles which he faced, and how he carried on his business. And today we all know, we all are fans of what Reliance has done for the country, or what Mukesh Ambani is now doing for the country. But how it actually started, from where it started, and how was it in 1980s. So we can take inspiration specifically if you want to do business of your own, and if you think it'll be a cakewalk, you should watch a movie called Guru, and you will learn the hardship of a real businessman, and how you have to tackle it. So yes, we have to be very choosy about our movies. At the same time, if you're watching a movie where you have been shown how betting is done, and if you have been shown or depicted the glamour life of betting, and you're taking inspiration from that movie, probably you're on the wrong track. But if you have right selection of movies and then you're taking inspiration from them, can really help you out.
Makes sense, makes absolute sense. And in fact, what you mentioned about the way your brain works, right? If you watch something, you're going to catch that easily. That brings me to my next point, that key behavioral biases or pitfalls that these movies generally show about movie. What are those generally? And probably your suggestion as to what movies should take care of before making these things, and making sure that financial stability is kind of inked in the minds of every viewer that's watching a movie.
See, I feel debt is at times glamorized in some of the movies. So that has to be taken care of, because when a youngster is watching a movie and seeing a guy who's taking 100x leverage and actually becoming successful in the end, might be a wrong example for him. I won't quote the movie. This is the exact story of a movie, but I won't quote it here, because probably we are more attracted towards negative stuff as compared to positive stuff. And I don't want any attraction towards such kind of movies. But at the same time, if you if you're a parent of a young kid, you can probably make them watch some movies where from they can gain some inspiration. So that is how you can ensure that everything is taken care of. There's a movie known as The Wolf of Wall Street. So it's a single movie from which you can take right motivation as well, and you can get misguided also. If you will see the lifestyle of the main character of the movie, you will see glamour, you will see fun, you will see thrill. But when you see the end of the movie, you will realize that you have to be careful while dealings in the market. So completely depends on how you select a movie. And probably there are some of the movies which we as a parent should try and show it to our younger generation, so that they can learn from them.
Good that you talked about The Wolf of Wall Street. You also talked about The Big Short. There's also a movie called Inside Job. I want you to give our viewers a perspective as to what are the kind of financial lessons that these movies have actually taught, especially investors out there. I mean, maybe key 3 to 4 points that you think are really important, and probably the takeaways from these movies.
See, if you talk about Inside Job, that is also around the 2008 financial crisis. Correct. And how the complete crash happened. And it also it also covers topic around how even the government was involved in that scam or in that crash, and how government made mistakes. I think 3 important lessons which we can learn from these movies is, firstly, having proper asset allocation. If you're all the time invested 100% in equities and sometimes something happen in the market, your portfolio will go on for a toss. Secondly, learning and adopting newer technologies, newer investment options is also important. For example, till 2008, I don't think a lot of people were shorting the market or knew about shorting the market. But once that crash happened, everyone learned about derivatives. Everyone learned about how shorting happens or hedging happens in the market. So we should be open to newer investment options and investment possibilities. And third and final thing is, whatever happens, you should know your limit. You should know the risk profiling. You should know how much risk you can handle. If you take a risk which is beyond your capacity, then you will go on for a toss. If you don't have emergency fund and anything like that happened, your complete life will be shattered. So having proper emergency fund, proper financial plan is important. However aggressive you are, however good an investor you are, but whenever market wants to teach you a lesson, that will be really harsh. So plan for the worst and be ready for the best.
Fair point, Anant. And you know, in fact, my question to you would be that because a lot of these movies have taught about this, right? What you just spoke about. How much do you think storytelling can be leveraged to teach these financial lessons? Because we've seen that happening in the past 2 to 3 odd years, or maybe more than that, in short form content as well, right? Because people are adopting storytelling and trying to give financial lessons to the viewers out there. How do you think that this is the best tool, or maybe this can be leveraged in the best way possible to teach financial lessons?
I think it is very important, and you guys have also been doing an amazing job around the same. I have seen a lot of content which you guys are putting, which is in a story format. Because whenever there is a story which is being narrated, we connect to that story. We become one of the character of that story, and eventually we can take some lessons out of it. So this is one of the most beautiful manner to learn stuff. And of lately, specifically looking at the number of scams and the number of mishappenings which are happening in the market, storytelling is probably one of the best way to communicate the message and to ensure that investors are aware of the financial frauds which are happening in the market. Investors are aware. Recently, yesterday only, I was reading a story where around 20 crores of money was scammed by a scam happened to a Delhi person, and that was a digital arrest scam. We all know about digital arrest scam, but still people are getting scammed by the scammers in one or the other way. So storytelling probably can reach greater audience, can appeal to greater audience, and we can probably make a change.
Absolutely, Anand. In fact, I met an Uber driver very recently who talked about how he was scammed and probably lost 4.5 crores in dabba trading, and because of that, he's now driving an Uber. So it's very important that these mediums are used to portray the best financial knowledge that one person has. So and you're doing exactly the same thing. So thank you so much for that, and of course taking out the time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much.